Hello, everyone. We're going live in five, four, three, two, one. Boom. Didn't mean to do that. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Man, listen, that weekend was about 15 minutes long. From Friday afternoon until now. This weekend was about 15 minutes long. I'm telling you, you blink, it's going to be Monday. Welcome to the Final Boss podcast. I'm your host, Turbo the CEO. We have a great time tonight. We got a good show. Awesome. Everybody's awesome. I hope everybody's awesome. I'm awesome. You're awesome. God is awesome. Everything's awesome. Everything is awesome. Man, oh man, oh man. Let's get into it. So tonight's subject, we're going to be asking the question: do Americans have a false sense of security? Dun 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 dun. That's how we do it. Oh, hold on. That is terrible. Test, test, test. Oh, sorry about that. Man, I hope everyone had a great weekend. And I don't know where this is coming from, but it has got to go. All right. Sorry about that. Perfect. Man, ask yourself the question: is this something you believe? Something you want information on? Do you know what I'm talking about? Well, if you don't, this is what I'm here for. I'm not going to do announcements tonight. I did the announcements last episode. We ran it back all the way back to episode one. Shout out to my guest host from last week, Mike Brosen, Johnny Rio. Shout out to him. We had a great show, and we're looking to do it again very, very soon. So, before I get into tonight's subject, I want you to think about a few things, all right? And I'm going to bit crypt. I'm gonna just say it. Oh, this is for entertainment purposes only. That's it. Entertainment purposes only. That's the disclaimer. So let's get into it. Oftentimes, well, too many times that I care to count. You isn't This is an example. We send our kids off to school with the idea that we know the school system is going to protect our children while they're at school. They become their responsibility. It's in their contract to protect them. Too many times we've seen uh yeah, that's a touchy subject. I don't want to go into that. Mm-mm. Nope, not going to do it. Not going to do it. But do you think we have a false sense of security, like an entitlement? Are we so concerned with our American way of life and policing the world that we ignore some internal threats, domestic terrorism, uh, domestic violent attacks, or attacks from outside sources? Oh man, Forgot to turn the AC off. Give me a second, y'all. I apologize. All right, back to it. Where were we? Oh, yeah. Um, Policing the world, global security challenges. Think about it. State of the world right now. Think about all the rumors and threats of rumors that you hear as it pertains to other nations and the possibility of uh, posturing to attack us. Are we immune to those security threats? Sometimes it's rumors, sometimes it's chatter. You know, um, we are paying attention to what's unfolding in the Middle East as we speak. Right now, as we speak, the Middle East is high on everyone's radar as to what is about to happen. Are we too focused on economic interdependence? We are always focusing on our economies, and we see that Dow Jones was always affected by worldly events and how those events have ripple effects. These ripple effects affect the economy. There's a there was a Bruce Willis movie that came out. It was one of those diehards where the terrorists had had initiated what is called a fire sale, and in that fire sale threat, it attacked all of our sensitive resources, the power grid, the emergency contact information, aviation. Uh, the whole system went wild and amok. And in that movie, because it's a movie, you know, it's 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 not based on it's based on possibility, right? Always a possibility. They show you different things that could happen. Now, since that movie, there have been several movies that have come out where um, America is either hit by EMP, a dirty bomb has gone off, something crazy. But it's in the movies. You see it, and here of late, you have whoever paid attention, or if you've seen the movie, please go watch it. Leave us all behind. Great film. And curiously and conversely, the things that are happening in the movie are actually being played out right now as art imitates life. Um, but back to the economics as a whole and how it can become a threat to our well-being. And these vulnerabilities in these systems, so many systems we have are so antiquated. We know they're antiquated. Can't go into too much about infrastructure and how antiquated the system is, but a lot of these systems are antiquated. We recently had an issue where an update was pushed out, and because I can't speculate on whether or not it was the person behind the administrator behind the keyboard who pushed the button too early. There was no test beds. You know, IT people, we tend to know this space, so everybody's speculating what caused the crash. Uh, did we go out and let all the vendors know that they need to upgrade their systems before before they did this particular upgrade? A lot of systems are antiquated, false sense of security. we put so much faith in these processes and these systems that we are to believe protect us or shield us. Whereas time and time again, you see that those systems are faulty or um, there was a weak point, and that weak point was exploited, right? Then you have systems that we didn't really ask for, but nevertheless, they're in place and they're supposed to do their job. Some systems are for deterrent purposes to increase safety posturing. Example, two examples. Um, speed cameras. Speed cameras are supposed to be a deterrent for getting people to practice safety and practice um, doing the speed limit. If that system worked, why are there so many millions of dollars on the state and city level that these things are bringing in income for the state or the city? It's crazy. Is it really a deterrent for safety and speed? No, it's a monkey. It's a money making device mechanism. Another one. Um, we 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 talked about a few things, and this is how we tie in everything to the last episodes. Uh, we talked about bug out bags. We talked about um, words have power. We talked about um, morality and individual reality. We talked about business. We talked about all these things that tie in to one another. Another system that we have a problem with, and I'm having a problem with this mic. Another system that we have a problem with is, man, that's so sensitive. I can't really, I can't do it. I don't want to make my show political. I don't want to make it religious based. I just want to talk about the topics and wake people eyes up. Open people's eyes to some of the things that I see that are going on. I wonder if you're paying attention to it as well. Because of technology, we're all connected, interconnectivity across the globe. When one economy is having a crisis, you best believe that the world is going to reap some of that from a perspective that um, what affects them affects you. What affects you affects them. And we have to recognize those vulnerabilities. Before I do pretty much anything, something I learned when I was getting my undergrad in business, and I use this to everything. I do a SWOT analysis, right? A SWOT analysis is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You write it down as an acronym, and you break it down, and you look at what your strengths are. You look at what your weaknesses are. You look at your opportunities, and you look at the possible threats. And from there, you devise a plan. Devise a plan to strengthen your posture. One of the things that we know that we're vulnerable with is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is always going to be a threat. It's always going to be, we're always going to be subject to cybersecurity threats. As technology grows and as America increases its visibility on many different fronts, at the same time, we have more enemies than we can count. And their job is to impact or disrupt those critical infrastructure pieces, whether it be government institutions, private, emergency systems, banking systems. Their job is create havoc, chaos, and havoc. Make it really inconvenient for you, the consumer or the American, and your way of life. Um, we need robust security measures, constant, robust security measures. So many systems need updates on firmware. Mm, robust strengthening across the board. There's systems out there. Um, I was at a hospital last year, and if I'm not mistaken, at this hospital, they were still running a Windows 7 OS, Windows 7 or Windows 11. Either one is bad for business. But I'm pretty sure it was Windows 7. And I was like, my God, who's doing the patches on that? Who's running the security updates? Um, why haven't why haven't Microsoft um come up with, or and it's possible. Johnny Rio and I talked about this. Um, talked about so many systems that are antiquated, that need serious updates and bandwidth improvements, bandwidth and uh, firmware improvements. Climate change. Climate change is another one. So money being thrown out on and climate change, and we see how climate change is affecting all of America. And the issues with climate change, if we don't address them, it's a national security issue across the board. The hurricanes, tornadoes, possible earthquakes, Yellowstone uh, erupts. Not going to be a pretty day in paradise on that day if it happens. Let's pray that it doesn't happen. But you have these extreme weather events, and the resources are scarce. Resources are scarce. People are scarce. Trained people are scarce, and um, this is where we think we have it together. We think the government got it. Not really, people. The government doesn't have the answers. Um, they really don't. It's going to be us, up to us, the people, to fix whatever's going to happen. You have domestic issues. We talked about it earlier, internal challenges, social inequality, political polarization. Talked about that last week. National security. You see everything, you see something every day. We just had an attack on a pre we just had an attack on an ex-president who's a current candidate for presidency. There were videos of the Secret Service, and they didn't look, how can I say this? Those videos didn't show them in good light. And I'm coming to a place of love and light, and giving you this information on a weekly basis. I I wish I can have my show longer than just 20 minutes, but that's the time I got. 20 minutes in and out. I may stretch it over a little bit, but look around you. Pay attention to what's going on in the news. Pay attention to what's happening in the Middle East right now. Ignore my sound issues. I don't know why. Sometimes sometimes the energy doesn't want me to get the information out there to you. I'm telling you, it happens. We we're in a critical place right now in this country and in the world and on God's green earth in the year of our Lord of 2024. We got August, September, October, November, December. Man, it's been a show so far. I joked the other day and said, you know what? I blame Cat Williams. I blame Cat Williams for all of it. Like after he had that conversation with Shay Shay, it's been a hellstorm since. But pay attention. Pay attention to everything that you see. Everything isn't propaganda. Some things are what they really are. And with that, that's my time. And may God bless you. You have a great week. This was a tough subject. There were points that I wanted to bring up, but I really couldn't because the sensitive nature of it. So I hope you understand where I'm coming from. And I'm always coming from a place of love and light. And I hope you are able to see the breadcrumbs and figure it out. And figure it out. 9/11, school shooting, mass shootings, Timothy McVeigh, the bombing marathon, Boston, church bombings, and the list goes on. These violent acts done by violent perpetrators. But everything's okay. We got our sense of security in the right place. I'm 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 being sarcastic because we live our lives in a way that we don't think these things will happen, but they're happening every day. USA in your neighborhood, my neighborhood, it doesn't matter what neighborhood, it's happening. You got the violence and crime in DC looking like the violence and crime of the 80s, but we got cameras on every other block or every block. No, every block, and sometimes more than one camera on each block. Are the crimes being solved? Are people getting arrested? That's getting too political. But those cameras, who are supposed to be a deterrent, aren't deterring anything. False insecurity. That's my show. Y'all have a great night. Have an awesome Monday. Start the day out with pleasantries. Get you a nice bottle of water first thing in the morning. Get the blood flowing. Get some oxygen in your lungs. Thank the Creator for waking you up and go seize the day. I'm Turbo, the CEO at Trinity Entertainment, at Trinity Music Group. I am the Final Boss Podcast. Y'all have a good night.